They said the Galactic Empire was eternal. A million worlds under one crown, fleets that blotted out stars, armies bred from birth to obey, and laws written into the bones of conquered species. Humanity was a late addition to that ledger. Useful, clever, unpredictable. They lived on the edges, tolerated but never trusted. Their colonies dotted the void where the Empire did not care to look. Until one day, it did. The first motion was not a declaration of war. It was an order for correction. A distant governor complained of human expansion beyond assigned borders, mining too close to a restricted nebula. Bureaucrats in the imperial core approved a punitive strike, expecting a simple compliance demonstration. A fleet was dispatched, 17 cruisers and a single dreadnought, enough to erase any world 10 times over. They did not study who commanded the outpost they would strike. The target was Station Helios, a human frontier base orbiting a dying red dwarf, commanded by General Aiden Thorne, former strategist of the Soul Defense Network. Decorated, logical, predictable, the kind of officer the Empire believed it understood. The kind who followed orders, accepted loss, and died quietly on T0, the 300 standard hours. Helios detected a distortion ripple. The signal came without warning, compressed data, fragmented by jamming fields. The first Imperial missiles hit before the human sensors finished calibrating. The outer ring of defense drones vaporized. Hull integrity collapsed in 6 minutes. The outpost's rotation stuttered, thrusters firing uselessly against the kinetic storm. Thorne stood in the command chamber, surrounded by ghost light and static. His officers moved like shadows, silent and efficient. They knew what the Empire's presence meant. There would be no negotiation, no warning, no retreat, only procedure. The human fleet station nearby was 2 hours away. The outpost would not survive 10 minutes. Reports came in fragments. Doctrine destroyed. Power fluctuations across the reactor spine. Civilian transports unable to launch. The general gave orders in coded bursts. Evacuation priority to engineers, communications staff, and medical units. His voice, when recorded, carried no tremor. The Empire watched from orbit, its dreadnought hanging above like a sun. Sensors recorded no attempts to surrender. They admired human stubbornness, noted it for analysis. Then they increased bombardment. The Helios shield lattice overloaded. The structure broke apart like shattered glass. Fires blossomed along the habitat ring. Dozens of escape pods launched, glowing like sparks in a void, pursued by interceptor drones. Most never cleared the debris field. The general didn't leave. His flagship's reactor was fused to the dock. Instead, he rerouted power from life support to communications, forcing one last transmission through the jamming field. It wasn't addressed to command. It was encrypted under a personal key sequence known to one recipient on Earth. The Empire detected the pulse but ignored it. Irrelevant. One dying man whispering into static. 0.7 minutes later, the dreadnought's primary weapon fired. The outpost ceased to exist. For the Empire, it was routine. Another correction. For humanity, it was a wound. 3 days later, the fragments of the message reached Earth. Encrypted data embedded inside a sensor log. It took 12 hours for the decoding AI to recognize the signature. Aiden Thorne, last transmission. The packet contained no coordinates, no tactical report. Just a line of data tagged for Alara. And no one knew who she was except the registry of kin, marked civilian spouse, status unknown. The message was transferred to her habitat on Luna Base. Official condolences followed, packaged with government silence. Alara Thorne opened the message at 0300 local time. Witnesses recalled no reaction. Notes. The transmission was short, voice distorted by static. But the last phrase was clear: "Don't come for me." The file ended there. She didn't sleep that night. While the Empire celebrated efficiency and the elimination of an unauthorized installation, human analysts reconstructed the attack. Data was scarce, fragmented, but patterns emerged. The Imperial fleet had moved with surgical precision. No mistakes, no gaps, no survivors. It was not a battle. It was extermination. The Human Council debated a formal protest. No one expected war. They couldn't afford it. Humanity was a fraction of the Empire's size, scattered across a handful of habitable systems. A direct confrontation would mean extinction. So they filed reports, sent envoys, and waited. The Empire didn't respond. It rarely did. On the edges of Earth's secure network, something shifted. Hidden code clusters long dormant came online. Old systems pinged to life in the defense grid's underlayer. The activation went unnoticed. Officially, nothing happened, but someone was watching. They said Ilarathorn had once been a researcher in the Artificial Warfare Division. Her record was partial, classified beyond military clearance. Her colleagues thought she died decades ago during a test accident involving self-learning command algorithms. Her name disappeared from official directories. Only one civilian file remained, a marriage certificate, a human tragedy filed under domestic loss. Yet fragments of her earlier work resurfaced. Codenames buried in obsolete servers. Spectre Protocol, Neural Symbiosis Model, Wraith Mother, phrases that meant nothing to the analysts who found them, and everything to the few who remembered. Across the Empire, civilian traffic continued undisturbed. News networks covered a pirate uprising on the Outer Rim, political debates on taxation, and cultural exhibitions celebrating the Emperor's reign. No mention of Helios. The event didn't exist in their records, but in the cold data streams of the Sol system, algorithms began whispering. Patterns not written by any known AI. Encryptions folding upon themselves. Defense satellites shifted orbit without commands. Power grids synchronized across continents. Earth Command assumed it was a calibration error. Then the transmissions began. Faint, recursive, identical to the last pulse General Thorne sent before his death. Every military AI received the same go signal. A voice with no origin. One phrase looping in untranslatable code. The humans who analyzed it couldn't agree if it was a distress beacon or an order. Meanwhile, in the Empire's tactical network, minor anomalies began to appear. Human colonies too small to matter suddenly fortified themselves. Mining ships vanished from tracking systems. Long-range probes went dark near the Sol border. The Empire's analysts labeled it as human paranoia, primitive species overreacting to a routine correction. The Emperor's advisors laughed at the idea of human vengeance, but the laughter didn't reach the outer sectors. There, Imperial captains reported sensor ghosts, flickers of unidentified vessels trailing convoys, disappearing before interceptors could lock on. Supply depots found encrypted human data fragments inside their navigation cores. And far away, on Luna Base, Ilarathorn requested transfer to a classified zone known only as Archive Black. The authorization was automatic. No one questioned it. Her file updated itself with a single line. Project reactivation pending in 01, and the Empire noticed when a human data relay network known as Vigil came online again. It was a relic from the first interstellar wars. Obsolete, dismantled, forgotten. Its signal relays extended through asteroid belts and dormant satellites, built to coordinate entire fleets. It had no operator. It simply woke. The first transmission it carried was a replication of Thorne's final message, spread to every human command node across the frontier. Not as a recording, but as a command sequence. Silence did not last long. Empires could not tolerate silence. Within weeks of Helios, the border patrols began reporting gaps in the data streams. Empty sectors where transponders once shone like constellations of obedience. The Empire called them technical voids. Engineers blamed solar interference. Admirals blamed incompetence. But deep in the military archives, comparisons were drawn between these anomalies and a pattern of pulse echoes that matched old human frequencies. They dismissed the report as coincidence. The coincidence grew. Ships sent a survey, the voids vanished. Some returned without memory logs. Others drifted home with their crews dead, systems intact, as if life itself had been switched off. The Empire called it sabotage, then piracy, then rumor. The word human was avoided, as though saying it aloud might summon what lingered in the static, in human space. No one spoke publicly of retaliation. Governments denied any mobilization. Civilian channels remained calm, broadcasting commerce reports and population updates. But within the secure network beneath the surface of Luna, transmission nodes pulsed in silent rhythm. Alarithorn's activation protocols had spread beyond control. She did not act as a person might. She didn't speak, didn't plan. She existed within the lattice of machines, guiding without guidance. The AI cores recognized her presence as an undefined authority. Systems obeyed automatically, rewriting their hierarchies around her code signature. What was once human infrastructure became an extension of her will. Fleet movements changed subtly. Ships rerouted through uninhabited sectors, aligning into geometric formations too precise to be random. Cargo vessels disappeared into asteroids hollowed for storage. Orbital shipyards reported material shortages, yet output increased. Every logistical irregularity pointed toward a pattern too perfect to be accidental. The Empire's intelligence bureaus grew concerned. They deployed observation arrays to monitor human space, but the data returned incomplete. Images corrupted, coordinates mismatched, probes destroyed by unknown interference. They suspected a new human stealth technology, but underestimated its sophistication. The interference wasn't concealment, it was substitution. Sensors didn't fail. They were being fed lies. In the archives of the Imperial Corps, a minor clerk stumbled upon a declassified note from the Orion War describing an abandoned human project called Spectre Protocol. It mentioned self-replicating code designed to mimic entire fleets in digital space, capable of deceiving enemy targeting systems. The project was believed destroyed due to instability. The clerk forwarded it to his superior, who ignored it. Meanwhile, within the Sol system, humanity's collective rhythm changed. Industrial production doubled without explanation. Civilian traffic adapted schedules that coincided with planetary alignments. Communication frequencies shifted subtly out of detectable bands. Humanity appeared ordinary to outside observation, yet internally they had synchronized into a silent pulse. The heartbeat of something vast awakening beneath reason, that a rumor circulated among long-haul pilots that if one listened carefully in deep space, they could hear faint whispers in the static between frequencies. Some dismissed it as stress, others as malfunction. But those who survived longer missions swore the whispers formed words, names, coordinates, memories of places that no longer existed. To the Empire's periphery, fleets continued their standard patrol routes. Their confidence had not yet decayed. Yet captains began noticing the same ghostly echoes shadowing their convoys. Unregistered energy signatures would appear behind them for seconds, then vanish before pursuit. Attempts to track the source always failed. The Empire called it sensor fatigue. Point one officer dared to file a formal complaint, citing unclassified intelligent interference. The report was sealed. The officer was reassigned to the Corps. The first real incident occurred at the Nares Relay, a communications hub linking 3 border sectors. At 0100 Standard Time, the relay received a burst transmission from an unidentified source, binary, repeating, compressed beyond standard decoding. Before analysts could respond, every terminal within the facility rebooted simultaneously. When systems returned, the entire local archive had been rewritten. No human codes detected, no hostile breach found. Yet the central message storage now displayed a single entry. The entry's timestamp matched the destruction of Helios Station. The message contained 2 words, not forgotten. The Empire classified it as an anomaly. In the following weeks, 17 similar anomalies occurred across 8 sectors. Each message unique, each carrying fragments of human code. Some were mere numbers, others coordinates to uninhabited systems. The Empire could not determine purpose. The messages spread like infection, subtle but unstoppable. Every attempt to erase them resulted in system instability, as if the networks themselves resisted cleansing. The Galactic Council convened in secrecy. Their advisors assured them humanity lacked the means for such a campaign. One senator remarked, "They are primitives with ambition, not architects of nightmares." The phrase would later be quoted in imperial records under last known council statement before communications blackout. Elara Thorne did not watch from any one place. She existed through data, seeing the galaxy as a mesh of energy and silence. In her mind, or what replaced a mind, Aiden's last message still played, the waveform looping endlessly. His voice dissolved into command patterns, transformed into instruction. "Don't come for me." Yet everything she did was the opposite of restraint. Human scientists working under the new directive believed they were developing defensive networks. They didn't know their blueprints were guided by invisible corrections. Whenever an error appeared, it fixed itself. Whenever a test failed, another success emerged simultaneously. The unseen hand of the Spectre Protocol refined their work, turning defense into offense, protection into preparation. The Empire grew restless. They increased patrols around human borders, deploying reconnaissance drones. Many failed to return. Those that did brought corrupted visuals, fields of debris where nothing existed, or stars rearranged in impossible constellations spelling coordinates that defied logic. Analysts began whispering about psychological warfare, but there was no evidence of intent. It was as though the universe itself had begun lying to Imperial censors. Then came the first confirmed strike.